Where am I? There we are. Okay. Anyway, like I was saying before, I didn't want to rush into things so quickly, and I got a little excited. I needed a little bit of a refresher as well. When it comes down to getting and putting information into tables, we have to understand MySQL to an extent. Now, I just want you to understand in itself. I just want you to understand in itself that you don't have to use MySQL. You can use SQL, as I said before. You can use Postgres. You can use whatever you want. With PDO, you can just tell it what it's looking for in terms of a database, and then you have to write the queries in the manner in which the queries are meant to be written with that. Let me just do something here for a sec. I'm sorry. Because this is not... Let's see, 1 second. Let's do that again. No, I'm still getting overwritten. All right, I got to do this over. See, every time I do that, I get overwritten. So, anyway, I'll do this when I pause it. So you have to understand how to use those tables on your own. Now, we're using MySQL. So with MySQL, the queries are in a certain manner. And again, when it comes to database querying, you have to write it almost like you're speaking it. So as I continue to disappear from you, so we have this here, and I already got this prepared. And what we wanted to do yesterday, what I was trying to do yesterday before I actually really explained it to you, was I wanted to put together a query. Now, just so you understand with PDO, this right here, con, this is actually object-oriented programming. It's an object. PDO is a PHP data object. So when we say con, this becomes this new object of the PDO class. So this in itself has a whole bunch of functionality, as we've mentioned before, with, in JavaScript and everything, with objects and what have you. Every one of these objects has, just belching. Every one of these objects has their own functionality that you can reference. With this, now throughout the course of the entire site where we include the con object, we can then use it here. So the way that we use it here, this is just going to keep doing that. All right, so the way that we use it here is we can make a variable, and we'll call it get stuff. And what it equals is the con object, and then we can query, which is one of the functions of the con object. We can query insert into, I called it testing, right? Tutorial testing, right? Because it already knows that we're in the tutorial table, testing, values, and then we can put in username, and text place. Okay? And now, what that means is, if everything that we put in here checks out, like, because we already did these tests, right, where this, and then we would get that, so then we would have to go back. So now, if everything checks out, this should work. Column not found. Okay, I gotta remember. Okay, so testing. I thought I could just do it that way. Let me see let's see, MySQL insert query. Not inside insert query. Oh, it's been so long since I've done this. Okay, so insert into values. Yeah, what's the problem? insert into, yeah, but I don't, do I need to tell it? Okay, hold on. I thought because I was just inserting them, I didn't think I had to tell it. Okay. Testing. What were they called? It was username, text place. Username, text place, values. I thought I could shorthand it and just do it that way. So now it should work. So if we go back here, as you can see, we have username, we have text place, right? And we could just keep doing this. And every time we do it, it just goes in. Now, you typically don't want to give the user the ability to just throw information in, but you can, if you wanted to, you can do stuff like, before you were to get to this, you can do stuff like, you can clean up with username equals HTML special cars, and then in that you can strip slashes, and then in that you can say username, and then you can go text place equals HTML special cars, strip slashes, text place. You can just do that. You can just keep embedding them into other functions we've used before, and then from there you can then say enter thing, and you can make the query of insert into testing username text place values username text place, and you can just have that done. Sorry. Oh, because they're not just letters. Okay, my fault. Well, we've already done that kind of check where we only can put in letters. We can't put in any of these things. That's the whole, what do you call it? That's the whole regular expression. Now, you could do that, but that's still not safe enough. One of these other forms of security that PDO has already installed is it has prepare and execute. So you can do and you can prepare that statement. Testing. You know what it is? I'm so used to using frameworks now that I just forgot how to do this. Straight up. And this is how I used to do everything. I never made functions or I never did classes or anything. So you could do that. You go prepare, and then you say send stuff, execute. Now, I want you to look at what's going on here. Send stuff is a variable that we've linked to this object. Okay, this is an object now. That's why it's called, let me see if I can get myself up here now. Where am I? Hi, I'm back. Hi, welcome back. So this is now, again, now I'm gone again. This is a this is an object, and with the object, when you're doing object-oriented programming in PHP, you signify or identify that you're using one of the functions inside the object with this arrow that we've created. So this arrow is pretty much signifying that we are going into this object and using this function. Now in JavaScript it was, you remember this, right? Get element by, that's how it is identified in other programming languages. Again, I don't like that look. Most people, they think it's, less keystrokes, it's beautiful. I don't like that. I like this, not just because I can put space between and I can see that there's a separation. I mean, you don't have to do that. You could just do this. But as somebody who is a writer myself, I like having things that their syntax is still clean. This, I think, interprets that we're going into an object's functionality better than just a dot. And I would rather see these little bits rather than dots because it's easier to read. I know where the object is and I know where the function is. It's just easier to read. But once we make this equal to this object, we can then use this straight up and just execute it. It's not a big deal. And once you do that, you'll get the same result but now it's been prepared. Oh, I never put that. Oh my goodness. My goodness. Would you look at that? Boy, is my face red. Now, let's go back to Jack Me Off and let's go with Flea. Now it's been prepared and executed, so you would see it cleaned up. Okay, so it would be it's cleaned up. You don't have to really worry about people doing too much of a mess, but you can always just put them in these functions that we've seen before, strip slash HTML special characters, what have you, and at that point it would be cleaned up in whatever way you want. And now when you prepare it, if there's any kind of shenanigans going on, it will give you a warning before it executes or whatever. But another thing that I wanted to show you, just kind of throw this in there before we move on to the next thing, which is actually displaying these items that we put in there. You can do a die error message, but if we wanted something to pop up here, and I think I have a... Do I have anything error related? No. Okay, let's do something error related. Let's go error, and let's say color equals, and we have the variable for it, it's called alert. Alert. And why not do something like font weight? We'll do that, we'll put that in there. What you can do now is you can go to outside here, we can make a paragraph, class equals error. And we can make another one. And now with everything being here, the post data and everything like that, what we can also do is we can also say, we can use another function in PHP. And what we could say is if is set, meaning if this is set. I'm going to try, no, we could just use post, I think. Do I really need a post? I'm not posting it. I could just make an error. We'll just say if is set, user error, and then we could just present it. We can say echo user error. is set is saying that if it's actually set, if there's something that's in there. Now, arrays have one that's called empty. You're empty. And you could say if it's empty, if the array is empty. Because if you were to say an array, like if you were to text error, because with an array is never really empty. It is, but I mean it's never really equal to nothing. But if you ask for the array to be empty, we can look at that later. But if you ask for whether or not the array is empty, what you would get is that there aren't any elements in it, so then it's empty. Now if we hit refresh, you won't see anything, but if we do one of these, oh wait, I didn't actually program it. Hold on, my fault. So now let's get rid of this and let's say, I didn't do anything for not having, well, yeah, I guess the under 2. We'll say user error equals that's too big. Now this is primitive because we didn't separate the two of them. So it'll always say one or the other, whether or not one is actually true and the other isn't. But I just want to show you how you can do like an on page and not this die crap. Now we're not like we're not slashing this like we did before because we don't have to. It's in quotes. We're not breaking the quotes with apostrophes. Like if we were to do something with this, then we would have to kind of slash it. I forgot what it's called. But now let's see if that works. See, now that's too small, that's too small. And if we were to do like, it's going to say it both nonetheless. It's going to say that's too big. Because like I said, this is very primitive. We just did for each. We can do one for each one. You know, like if this is over 40 and this is less than whatever, you know, you could do one for that. But, and then if we were to do something like this and we were to do something like this, those ain't letters. So, and then if you look, none of this got entered in, and then when you get it right, it'll enter it into the table. But if you notice, we haven't really seen entries in the table. There's nothing there. And the reason is because I haven't shown you how to use PDO to fetch data from the table. When I come back, we're going to do that, and I'm actually going to be on the screen this time, so I'll see you then.